Many African nations maintain troubling ties with China, including key national security partners. Just last month, President Ruto declared that Kenya, a major non-NATO ally, and China are co-architects of a new world order.
Has President William Ruto bitten off more than he can chew?
Our position is that this is not about the North versus the South.
You see, when your name is making waves in Kenya, that is politics. But when it starts echoing through the marble halls of Washington, D.C., and not in a flattering light, you might be playing a far more dangerous game than you imagined. Just weeks after President William Ruto's high-profile trip to China, it seems the ripple effects have landed straight in the heart of Capitol Hill. And let's just say Uncle Sam isn't happy.
That only heightens the need for U.S. attention and leadership. Over the last 4 years, the U.S. reactions to this crisis and many others on the continent were fragmented, reactive, and ineffective. President Trump and this administration have already acted to better protect U.S. national security in the region. In President Trump's first term, his administration engaged in talks with Kenya over a potential free trade agreement, a first for sub-Saharan Africa. And now Secretary Rubio and other senior officials have ramped up engagement and confronted threats from al-Shabaab and the Islamic State head-on.
In a pointed statement led by U.S. Senator James Risch, the United States is now re-evaluating its cozy relationship with Kenya. Ruto's increasingly warm ties with Beijing have raised eyebrows and perhaps even red flags among American policymakers. Risch warned the U.S. government against placing too much faith in individual leaders, pushing instead for a pivot toward strengthening African institutions, expanding private sector's ties, and empowering the youth.
Additionally, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda each face serious domestic challenges that severely limit what U.S. investment can do. This fact, unfortunately, demands our restraint. Many African nations maintain troubling ties with China, including key national security partners. Just last month, President Ruto declared that Kenya, a major non-NATO ally, and China are co-architects of a new world order. That's not just alignment to China, it's allegiance. I submit for the record the text of that speech. I'm going to enter it in the record at the conclusion of the hearing that describes this. Relying on leaders who embrace Beijing so openly is an error. It's time to reassess our relationship with Kenya and others who forge tight bonds with China. And it isn't just an embracement of China, but also the, quote, new world order, end quote. Still, there are countries where meaningful engagement is possible, but only with sober judgment and clear-eyed realism. We must stop building U.S. policy in Africa around individual leaders and instead focus on strengthening institutions, expanding private sector ties, and empowering the region's young and dynamic populations. We hold this hearing at a moment of profound urgency, but also real opportunity. By tailoring our strategy and spending to align with the potential of our partners in the region, we can build stronger partnerships that serve both Africa and U.S. national interests, ultimately making America safer, stronger, and more prosperous. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today. With that, I turn to our distinguished ranking member, Senator Shaheen.
Translation: Washington fears it's being outplayed by Africans, and Ruto may have unknowingly walked into the center of a global tug of war.
Our position is that this is not about the North versus the South. It is not. It's between what is right and what is wrong.
But why is Washington suddenly jittery over Beijing's influence in Africa? Well, the answer is simple. Because Africa, metaphorically speaking, is the village girl, that beautiful village woman, desired by many, pursued by all. And right now, she's being courted by two superpower suitors. One with sweet promises and diplomacy, that is the US, and another with deep pockets and no question asked cash, and that is China. The US might offer affection wrapped in democratic values, but China comes bearing infrastructure, fast money, and the occasional debt trap dressed as a golden handshake.
China says it will pour another $60 billion into Africa. $60 billion sounds very large, but it's actually the same amount that China pledged in 2015. Now, the money will come in the form of aid, investment, and loans.
Now, for us, it is also important to have China as a partner in all this, because China is playing a very constructive role on the African continent.
It is the classic tale. One promises a future, the other delivers a mansion today. China has quietly and swiftly become Africa's biggest trading partner, wooing the continent with massive infrastructure projects, railways, ports, and digital highways, all under the sweeping umbrella of the Belt and Road Initiative. And it is working, by the way. For decades, the US played the long game, promoting democracy, good governance, and human rights as the pillars of its foreign policy. That is noble, yes, but very slow. And sometimes slow doesn't win races. Now, countries like Kenya are dancing with both giants, leveraging the best offers from each side. But the dance is delicate and the tempo is rising.
You'll forgive me if it just put it straightforward in good, blunt terms. If a choice is made between investment by China and investment by the United States and companies, which would you prefer?
You know, let me tell you, Quest, many people want to pull us into a conversation as to whether we are facing east or we are facing west. Let me tell you, we are neither facing west nor facing east, we are facing forward, because that is where the opportunities are. And we are working in a manner to make sure that our assets, what Africa has, what Kenya has, we have, for example, in Kenya, 90% of our grid is green. It is the reason why we are working with Microsoft to put together the first ever 1 gigawatt data center. So we are looking at where our opportunities are, and we are working with those who can help us unlock those opportunities, make them into investments, create jobs, create wealth, and take Kenya to the next level as we take Africa in the same direction.
It is no secret that such love triangles rarely end well. If Kenya keeps playing both sides, the jealous partner may just storm out and take everything with him. That includes security support, diplomatic favors, and preferential trade terms. In the worst case scenario, Kenya could be left standing alone, stripped of promises, stuck with debts, and vulnerable to a geopolitical fallout which it never bargained for.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, given your opening comments in the exchange, I'd love to work with you on clarifying the U.S.-Kenya relationship. Their foreign minister and national security advisor were just here last week meeting with the president and folks at the White House, and I agree with you that some of those statements with the PRC are very concerning given the deep and long relationship and the security relationship we have with regards to al-Shabaab in Somalia.
The question now is simple. Is President Ruto ready for that kind of heartbreak?